3D or not 3D, that is the question. Hollywood's been making false starts and false promises about 3D since the 50s. Now comes director Jim Cameron, who's unveiling a movie in mid-December that could settle the argument about the staying power of 3D once and for all. Cameron, of course, directed Titanic, the most profitable movie ever made, and famously declared himself king of the world when Titanic won 11 Oscars in 1998. Since then, he's been immersed in a wildly ambitious and very expensive 3D science fiction fantasy that mixes real actors with computer-generated creatures, the sum of which he believes will change the movie business forever.
You are not in Kansas anymore.
The movie is Avatar, and 70 years after Judy Garland left Kansas for Oz, Jim Cameron plans to take audiences down the yellow brick road of the 21st century,
Keep your arms in.
pushing the limits of modern technology with some filmmaking magic he's helped invent.
Just relax and let your mind go wild.
I've been working up to this for a long time. This is the film I think I always wanted to make when I set down the path of being a filmmaker.
Avatar is set on the moon Pandora, a fantasy Eden which Earthlings want to exploit. A Shangri-La created entirely by computers.
You're creating a world. Every creature in it, every blade of grass, every tree, every cloud in the sky, every little reflection in the eyes of the characters.
It is part cross-cultural love story, part high adventure. About the only thing that's done the old-fashioned way is the music.
What I want is that. I want that expression.
On the set, there are far more computer jockeys than stagehands. Avatar is made up of at least 3,000 separate shots, each one containing layer upon layer of special effects. What's interesting to me is that with all of the technical changes, it always comes down to the story, you know?
Exactly. It all boils down to the story and to this, right there, you know, right in the eyes.
Cameron's stars are Sigourney Weaver, Sam Worthington, and Zoe Saldana. But in a sense, the real stars are the inhabitants of Pandora. 10-foot-tall, blue people with tails. And you gave them long tails.
Hell yeah.
Why?
Well, tails are cool. Tails are very expressive. I mean, anybody that owns a dog or a cat knows that you can tell the cat's emotional state by what its tail is doing.
And this very tall tail is very expensive. Roughly $400 million plus for production and promotion. His fantasy creatures are based on performances by the real actors. Cameras record dots on their faces. Computers then analyze their expressions and bring the blue people to life. Characters both otherworldly, yet strangely like ourselves.
I think we just have to push the layer of smoke in front of it.
On a satellite link are experts at a special effects studio a world away in New Zealand. It's there the final images are processed.
We're going through and we're analyzing every last detail within the shot to make sure that it's up to snuff. We can make the grass greener or yellower, we can make the sky bluer, all those things.
And you can now just do what you want electronically.
Sure, even when we were doing Titanic 12 years ago, the shot at the bow where they kiss, we waited 2 weeks for the right sunset to get that shot. Now we just shoot it in front of a green screen and choose the right sunset later, digitally.
Action!
Shooting actors against a green screen and filling in the background by computer is a brutally time-consuming process.
3, 2, 1, action!
We dropped in on Cameron a few times over the past 2 years and found a man obsessed, a hands-on devil for detail. As here, with time and money slipping away, he spent most of a day rehearsing and shooting a scene that might last barely seconds. Are you excessively obsessive?
Clinically? Never been diagnosed. I'm sure it's in the job description for directors in general.
Cameron is 55, married 5 times. For the last 9 years to actress Susie Amos. His office is filled with remembrances of blockbusters past, including the wheel from the set of the good ship Titanic.
I keep this in my office because I know what it feels like to be the at the helm of a sinking ship, which is what it feels like on every movie that I make. That's the Thanator. He's the big bad guy in the woods.
He wrote Avatar years ago, but had to wait for technology to catch up with his vision of blue people and alien worlds.
I've loved fantasy and science fiction since I was a kid. I'm an artist. I'm an illustrator. I've been drawing creatures and characters and robots and spaceships since I was in high school.
Growing up in Canada, his passions were movies, art, and science. After the family moved to California in his late teens, he spent some aimless years, dropping out of junior college, working as a machinist and a bus mechanic.
And then one day I just quit my job and started making a short film.
You once said, I went from being a bum who liked to smoke dope and hang out by the river to this completely obsessed maniac. What was the turning point? What was the point at which you lost your mind?
Or found it. I think, I found my calling. And I think the moment that you're making a film, no matter how crude, no matter how small or cheap the film is, you're a filmmaker.
He'd hang out at the University of Southern California library, reading up on the technical aspects of movie making. Soon he had his first real Hollywood job.
Working for Roger Corman, but that was big time for me.
Corman was and is the legendary king of the B pictures, who in the 60s and 70s gave many young filmmakers a chance to show their stuff. Besides Cameron, Corman alumni include Jack Nicholson and directors Ron Howard and Martin Scorsese.
People came in with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of passion, not much experience.
Cameron made himself useful on a Star Wars ripoff called Battle Beyond the Stars. He designed model spaceships, helped with special effects, and soon was running the art department.
You had no money. There were no delusions of grandeur. You didn't care what film it was. It was a movie.
His first directing job was on a preposterous bit of business called Piranha 2.
It's the very best flying piranha movie ever made.
But Cameron and the Italian producer did not get along. And while in Rome arguing with the Italians, Cameron had a vision, literally.
I was sick with a high fever, had a dream of this chrome metallic death figure coming out of a fire, kind of a skeletal robot, if you will. So I woke up with that image in mind, did some drawings, and then constructed a story around that image.
That dream image became The Terminator. The movie put Cameron on the map. His 1989 film, The Abyss, is still remembered as one of the toughest movie shoots ever. Cameron filmed it in South Carolina in a decommissioned nuclear power plant filled with 10 million gallons of water.
We were underwater for 10 weeks, 6 days a week, 8 to 10 hours a day, submerged.
From The Abyss on through Titanic, Cameron got a reputation for driving cast and crew relentlessly, come hell or high water, to get the shot. It's not for nothing that the letters on the cap in his office stand for Head, bleep, bleep, in charge.
I'm not in this to phone it in or to do mediocre work. I tell everybody when we start a project, we're going to the Super Bowl. Just understand that. As Martin Sheen said in Apocalypse Now, don't get on the boat if you're not ready to go all the way.
Do you ever cross the line from being demanding to, impossible?
I like to think not, and certainly not lately. Maybe in the early days there was a lack of perspective where the movie was everything.
Now Hollywood waits to see if the director still has his best stuff. Mr. Cameron's Wild Ride will soon be released in regular 2D and 3D.
Shut up and fly straight!
Movie making, Jim Cameron once said, is war. A constant fight against the countless things that can go wrong in a world of big money and big egos, where after 4 years, just birthing the movie is about all a director can think of. What is the next thing when you finish?
Haven't decided. I think you don't ask a woman if she wants to have another baby at the exact moment she's having a baby. You know what I mean?
You sure don't.